Welcome into the Lantern Sports Preview Show. I'm your host, Casey Smith, and joining me as always is Gabe Burggraf. This week, Ohio State coming off the bye, ranked number 2 in the AP poll. They move up a spot, even though they didn't even play, Gabe. They're playing against the Iowa Hawkeyes, who have really struggled on offense and played stellar defense. Who's somebody that you're going to be watching for Ohio State in this game, Gabe?
Well, for the Buckeyes, last week, Marvin Harrison Jr. balled out. I expect him to do the same things. C.J. Stroud has been excellent. So, if he can continue to gain receptions and score touchdowns, he's got 9 this year, which is tied for the most in the Big Ten. So he had 3 last week, so he's had a lot in certain games. But if he can continue to score, the Buckeyes should have no trouble.
Right, and if Ohio State's passing game is working, that's going to be taking away the run game. You're looking at a guy that's going to be able to do that for that Hawkeye defense, right?
Right. For Iowa, Jack Campbell, this Iowa defense is supreme in stopping the run, and you saw it against Illinois. They're going to have to do it if they're going to hang in this game with the Buckeyes. Campbell has over 60 tackles, the most in the Big Ten. So, this defense in the linebacker corps is really good for the Hawkeyes.
Right, and I think Ohio State, their offense is really going to be facing up against this defense. And Ohio State, they're one of the best in the country in offense, but they're one of 2 teams in the country to rank top 10 in offense and top 10 in defense, the Georgia Bulldogs, who have been right around that number 1 spot the entire year, and they're still sitting at that number 1 spot. As for Ohio State, though, the one aspect that they're going to need to clean up is their turnover margin. They're only getting about 0.17 turnovers more per game, and that's going to be big for the Iowa defense if they're able to get an interception early like Michigan State did, kind of keep it close and control the possession and whatnot. But that doesn't seem likely when Ohio State, according to ESPN, is first in their game control metric, which is sort of the balance of how does an AP top 25 team compared to Ohio State, or compared to any team really, control the game. Ohio State's number 1 in that category, so they're just dominating their opposition right around the 80th strength of schedule in the country. That should bump up here in the back half of the Big Ten schedule. As for Iowa, we already kind of laid it out. I'm not going to talk about their offense.
It's going to be tough sledding
right.
for Iowa, probably on both sides of the ball.
Right, and it's thanks in large part to having one of the worst offenses in the country. Their defense, though, allowing 9.8 points per game, which is 3rd in the FBS. That's going to win you a lot of ball games, especially against some of the Big Ten West offenses that don't score a ton of points.
Right.
And part of that is thanks to their pass yards per game, which is 154. C.J. Stroud, he's already up to about 2,000 this season. So if they're able to limit his passing game, they're able to stop the run game there with Jack Campbell, like you mentioned, they're going to be right there in this game potentially. But that's no easy feat when you're facing C.J. Stroud, one of the Heisman front runners. We'll see this Saturday what Iowa's able to do. I think it'll be sort of a little bit back and forth early. Maybe it'll be close, but then I think Ohio State's talent prevails and sort of a convincing win to start this back half of the slate. But for Gabe Burggraf and myself, Casey Smith, we'll have all the coverage for you this Saturday. Number 2, Ohio State taking on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Big noon kickoff, Gabe. Until next time, though, this has been the Lantern Preview Show. I'm your host, Casey Smith, and take care.